Welcome back, everybody, to Comic Frontline. I am Brant Fowler, aka the Gonzo Goose, back with you for another all new, all different #1 review. This time, I'll put it on this side, Black Knight #1. This is written by Frank Thierry with art by Luca Pizzari, colors by Antonio Fabella, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. Cover artist Julian Totino Tedesco. Beautiful cover here. I absolutely love that cover. This book features Dane Whitman, who is the Black Knight. He's a former Avenger, and he's a legacy character. We haven't really seen too much of the previous Black Knights, but and I haven't read a whole lot of Black Knight. I've read him in some of the Avengers books back in the day. I did not read any of the WeirdWorld stuff, and I'm assuming that he was in that during Secret Wars and everything. And now that's where he is. This whole book takes place in WeirdWorld, so I'm sure it's going to tie into the actual WeirdWorld series at some point down the line when that starts. But we get a pretty good recap of just who the Black Knight is and about that legacy. We see, like for instance, how he first inherited the blade, and we see the long line of Black Knights. It's on this side. The long line of Black Knights dating back to Arthurian times, King Arthur and all that. And we understand as this book goes on, if you're not familiar with Black Knight, how the ebony blade is kind of an essence, an entity of its own that kind of has a tendency to corrupt its owner. The original wielder of it was a supervillain, but the Black Knight has been a hero, but I think he's kind of been infected at times, and by the end of this issue we learn that maybe that's happening now, and maybe that darkness is taking root in Dane Whitman, and we're not sure, but we know that this whole WeirdWorld thing is very much like a Arthurian medieval type warland of sorts, but it's interesting that because relics from the past and from all over the universe and different eras and everything are ending up in this place, and he's made his job to collect them, and we'll see if you recognize that. So all these objects are falling into WeirdWorld, and he's kind of made a home for himself, and he knows that there are people coming, and I'm not going to spoil who comes, but it does tie into another all new, all different book. So he knows he's going to have to face the jury, as it were, for actions that he's taken, and it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. He fights things like fire-breathing rock trolls and things like that. I felt like it was a very good first issue for a new reader that's not familiar with Black Knight at all. I feel like this book did a good job of introducing you to the character and kind of giving you some of his background, some of his abilities, and just little hints at his past. We got to see events of like 3 months ago, so things that we have not seen yet, and why things are kind of dire for him right now. Again, we got to actually hear from one of these former Black Knight entities, and I'm not going to spoil how that happens if you're not familiar. But I feel like they did a good job of introducing us to Dane Whitman, the Black Knight. However, I feel like this story was a lot of setup. It was kind of, giving you all the facts of his origin and bringing you kind of up to speed on where he is and all this stuff. You did get plenty of action in this book as he's fighting all these different kinds of monsters, and they go on this expedition to find these objects and all this stuff. But for the most part, this book was an over narration to kind of introduce you to the character. For that, there wasn't a whole lot of forward momentum in the issue, so that took it a little bit down. It made it a little bit not quite as exciting as it could be, but I really do think it was a very solid beginning issue to get you invested in the character, and I feel like I cared about Dane Whitman and what was happening with him and what was going to happen going forward after we see who shows up, and what this all means and how this all ties into the larger Marvel universe. I feel like they did a good job of illustrating all that. I think the art, the colors are kind of dark, but it kind of makes sense for WeirdWorld and all the darkness going on, as you can tell. I mean, there's some instances where you get a lot of color splash there, but overall the general tone of the art, which does very much fit the period, is darker. It's a little bit flatter colors, basic colors. It does give it a classic feel. There's the flashback scene that uses a nice palette of gray tones to illustrate this thing that happens that Dane did. I thought it was beautiful, and this ghostly presence, the coloring is beautiful in that, and both of those things were a nice contrast to the kind of reddish, overcast tones that we get throughout the book. So I think it was a little bit dark, but the art was still fantastic, still solid issue, just not perfect, and it could have been a little bit more exciting, I guess. So for that, I'm going to give Black Knight #1 a 4 out of 5. Still very high score, and I'll definitely be continuing with this book. So that's going to wrap up this review, 4 out of 5 for Black Knight #1. I would love to hear your thoughts on the issue, whether you're going to continue reading this, what you thought of it, if you felt like it was a good introduction issue. Leave comments below. Let me know what you thought. And of course, check out all the other reviews, all the other videos, all the other live shows that we have on the channel, and all the stuff we have to come. For my stuff, you can check out LastEmberPress.com. You probably can't see it on the camera, but Zone4. Podcast.com. You can check out Where's My Tail on YouTube. We're working on getting that URL. We need 100 subscribers to be able to get an actual URL. It's the way YouTube is now. We do not have quite that many. So if you guys want to subscribe, so I can say youtube.com/Where's My Tail. Right now, we can't do that. So it's tinyurl.com/Where Is My Tail. That way you can reach it, or you can just search Where's My Tail on YouTube. It's the first thing that pops up in the search usually. So you can check out my weekly countdowns and hauls with Lisa over there. Our latest haul and countdown are both up, so you can check that out and see what we thought of books. And a new Airship 27 podcast is up on the Zone4Podcast.com website, so you guys can check that out if you're into pulp and all new pulp and all that kind of stuff as well. And don't forget to check out the weekly wrestling show that I do with Chris over on Dark Avenger C86. We'll be covering Survivor Series next week, so be sure to check that out. It's called 123 Podcast. And that's going to wrap it up. So, oh yeah, no, that's not going to wrap it up. One more thing. Tune in Tuesdays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time for the live show. And yeah, so that's it. So thanks for watching, guys. Give a like, give a subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you in the next video.